welcome. You are listening to Bras, Panties and Sports. You know, the NBA is on like Donkey Kong. They ready. I'm Spitface. Please welcome our host, the First Lady of Sports Talk, Cheryl Smith.
Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody's doing well on the first day of May. Well, yeah.
April showers. I'm ready for them May flowers. Now, First Lady, you got to be, First Lady down there with a winning team. I'm over here in Houston with the Rockets. I mean, But even though, I got the Rockets, I'm still, my eyes been glued on the NBA. It's been interesting. I think it's going to be, some surprises.
Right. You got two losing teams, the Rockets and the Texans.
but now look back that. Now you go bring up football. We was on basketball. But I grew up in Chicago, so I'm used to having 4 or 5 losing teams at the same time. Okay. All right, check out the music this week on Shout Out. We are featuring performances from Skii. Will she find her shining star, get the cold feel of the mute button? First Lady, we're ready. What you saying?
Each week we try to figure out what is going on in the sports world. Not the plays of the week, more like the players of the week. Are they trying to tell us something? So we ask, what you saying? Fly, little birdie, fly. Time keeps on slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping into the future. So I want to fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let the spirit carry me. I want to fly right into the future. The little birdie known as Trevor Bauer, a pitcher for the Dodgers, wishes he could fly far, far away from a 324-game suspension for violating Major League Baseball policy concerning domestic violence and sexual assault. The police concluded that they could not pursue any charges, but the league investigation didn't care about other entities. They were concerned the league's policy was violated. Did baseball get this right? Does Deshaun Watson need to worry? The NFL may look at this as an example of what they need to do. Should the NFL be concerned if they don't whack Deshaun with a similar penalty? There will be a huge outcry from fans and anti-domestic violence groups. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, rest in peace, Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones Jr., and the Steve Miller Band are asking, what you saying? Well, you know what? This whole Trevor Bauer situation is really quite interesting because of the fact that the Los Angeles County District Attorney did not pursue any criminal charges in connection with these allegations. And they just said that they could not find physical evidence to corroborate the story of the young lady. Now, let me just go for people who are not quite aware. This young lady, I think her lawyer referred to her as Miss Hill. According to police record, she claims that she met Bauer through Instagram and first met up with the Dodgers pitcher on April 21. I think it was in April 2021. 2021. And she described their first encounter escalated to Bauer performing multiple sexual acts without her consent. And she alleged that Bauer choked her to the point of unconsciousness and punched her in her face and genitals. Now, Ms. Hill also claimed he initiated sex without her consent. Now, she sought medical attention the day after this. Now, this was 2 encounters, so it's kind of weird that you had 1 encounter and then you go back and have a second encounter, but we ain't going to talk about that. But on the second encounter, she sought medical attention, and the intake form said head and facial trauma, but the CAT scan and MR revealed no such injuries, according to public reference. And so Major League Baseball, now Major League Baseball did an extensive investigation. They investigated this case for 10 months. That's a long investigation, 10 months. So they came up with their own investigation, and they felt that he needed to be suspended for the 324 games, and that's 2 years. That's two baseball seasons, basically, is what he's being suspended for. Now, of course, Bauer can appeal. He's going to appeal. They'll have a mediation. I'm quite sure through the mediation it will not be as stringent as it is with the 324 games. But the question is, how does this impact Deshaun Watson? You know, Major League Baseball is coming out with their punishment. And I mean, they really have taken this to a level that you would never seen before. So, but you know, when you do investigations, when the league does their own investigation, it's almost like a civil trial. I'll equate it to that, because usually you can have a criminal trial and the person is found not guilty, but they can be found guilty in a civil trial, because remember, the degree of weight of evidence is completely different in a criminal trial than it is in a civil trial. It has to be a preponderance of doubt, whereas in a criminal trial, you got to really know for truth that this person committed this crime. So keeping that in mind, that's why baseball is able to do what they were able to do, because they did their own investigation and they felt this man was guilty. He was guilty of their policy. Doesn't mean that, they saying that I guess what it is, whatever their policy is, they have a strict policy regarding sexual assault and domestic violence. So they felt that Bauer definitely broke that policy. Now, Deshaun Watson, I mean, we all know that his situation is similar, because obviously he did not have to face any criminal charges regarding his domestic situation. And but the thing about Deshaun Watson, which is different from Bauer, Watson has civil cases that he still has to deal with. So, I mean, we'll see, supposedly the NFL has been doing their investigation, and I'm going to say supposedly, because if you remember Spitface, Antonio Brown, now, didn't he have a domestic sexual assault case that the girl and him had settled out a case? I don't think to this day that the NFL did a ruling on Antonio Brown's sexual assault case. I may be wrong. I know he was suspended, but he wasn't suspended because I thought he was suspended because of the situation with the fake COVID card or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And I don't think, but to this day, they have never ruled anything regarding those sexual charges against Antonio Brown. So the question is, what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson? And, the NFL will make a ruling, hopefully. I doubt if they will make a ruling before the civil cases are resolved. So it's going to be a while. I mean, heck, it's been almost, if I'm not mistaken, it's almost been about 2 years for Antonio Brown. So who knows how long it would be before the NFL decides on the Watson situation. Now, we all know traditionally the NFL has not been stringent when it comes to domestic abuse throughout their history. They have actually dropped the ball. So, I mean, is it going to be a big deal? Yeah, people are going to probably protest, and anti-domestic abuse groups are going to probably come out and protest, but that's not going to stop the NFL from being who they are, because the shield will always go on, and people can protest all they want. People are still going to buy tickets to the game. People are still going to watch the game on TV, and unfortunately, I just don't think the NFL will have such a landmark suspension on Deshaun Watson the way they did on Trevor Bauer, because it's like I said, the NFL, they take gambling against they take having somebody else buy a ticket for gambling more serious than they do domestic abuse. And I just don't think anything's going to happen within the next couple of years. That's just how I feel, Spitface. What you talking about?
No, with a shield. Can you buy that shield? Can you get a subscription plan to that shield? Because man, we regular folk, we need that kind of protection. Because I just did not know how powerful that shield could be. But hey, I'm learning, and I'm looking at Trevor Bauer, and the third woman has come out. One thing, First Lady pointed out that the rules of engagement are different between a criminal trial and a civil trial. And in a civil trial, they had this thing they call discovery. And, that's one of the things that, Donald Trump be trying to avoid is discovery. Because discovery is exactly what it is. Let's discover what you've been trying to keep hidden. And we have a legal basis to get it because we need it to prove your ass is liable. Now, one thing that we got the sentence that Major League Baseball imposed, but they did not tell what they found in their investigation. Mm-hmm. Now, I suspect that whatever they found in the investigation, Trevor Bauer can appeal, and the suspension may get reduced. But even if it's reduced in half, that's still a year. That's still a year. So it may get reduced, but it might not. It may not, because we do not know what they unearthed in that investigation. Now, I think the situation with Deshaun is going to be tricky for the NFL to navigate. And because the anti-domestic violence groups are going to point to baseball. They're going to say, hey, look, Deshaun Watson, they're going to say, what does your investigation show that you are given a lenient? When, again, there are the civil suits. He settled, okay, there's some women he settled with. And, Antonio Brown, he got old girl out of town. That's why we ain't heard her, because everybody clamming up. He would have quickly made sure some money was dropped. But that's a different discussion. But I think that Deshaun is in that precarious situation of where if you the suspension, if it comes out too lenient, is it really worth it for the heat the NFL may have to take? Because yes, they will. The ticket sales will continue. Ain't nobody gonna miss a beat. Not out of the NFL world, because the shield do protect. But is it worth it when you've been trying to year after year better this image that these players are human beings and that there's some who they go over the line? But that ain't epidemic. Now, that's what you keep trying to show. But if you give lenient treatment here, it may be, hey, look, you know what? Just like with the NFL hiring black coaches, it's all smoke and mirrors. But I do feel that Deshaun needs to work because he's just one, superstar to that, but he's just one player in a big game. and he ain't got no ring like Patrick Mahomes, ex-quarterback from the Pittsburgh Steelers, Big Ben. He ain't got all of that, But so I think his situation may still be tenuous. That's what I'm saying, First Lady.
Okay, well, if you remember when the Cleveland Browns decided to trade for Deshaun Watson, that was one of the biggest questions when they had that when Deshaun Watson met with the media. That was the biggest question. And it was asked to the general manager of the Browns, what investigation did you guys do? Because what was said was that the women who were involved in the situation, Deshaun Watson, their lawyer came out and said that they didn't speak with them. So, I mean, what if they didn't speak with them, then what type of investigation did the Browns do? So it just makes you what I think his name was Andrew Berry. He's the GM for the Browns, and they grilled him.
They investigated how many draft picks they was going to have to give up.
But so it makes you wonder. I just think that Major League Baseball does a very good investigation. I mean, 10 months is a long time, and they take it, to me, more seriously than the NFL, and that's sad to say, because we'll see how long it's going to take them to investigate this Deshaun Watson situation. Because, like I said, the Browns did their investigation and not speak to anybody. We wonder what the NFL management's going to do. But anyway, all right, Spitface, over to you. This is a continuing saga. It hasn't ended, so we'll see. Over to you.
All right. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years, rocking my peers and putting suckers in fear, making the tears rain down like a monsoon. Listen to the bass go boom. Explosion, overpowering over the competition. I'm towering. Wrecking shop when I drop these lyrics that'll make you call the cops. Don't you dare stare, you better move. Don't ever compare me to the rest that all get sliced and diced. Competition paying the price. I'm going to knock you out. Mama said knock you out. We are talking about the knockout punch to the 76ers by an injury to Joel Embiid that has him out indefinitely. Doc Rivers finally breaks the curse of his playoff losses in closeout games. The 76ers are going up against a Heat team who many say has been treated as pretenders. The Sixers need James Harden to step up. And Joel told him that before the last game. You have to step up, James Harden. Will we see the amazing shrinking player, a.k.a. James Harden, who has played like whatever was in the tank left via the beard? Miami might be the most underrated team in the playoffs with a huge chip on their shoulders. With or without Joel, are we looking at Miami breaking out the brooms for a sweep of the 76ers? Leroy Satchel Paige, Walter Buck Leonard, and James Cool Papa Bell are asking what you saying. You know, someone has said that when it comes to the playoffs, it's not that you have the best team. It's do you have a healthy team? Because you get all the way through the regular season. You in the big dance. You're playing, and you lose a top player, your star player. That hurts. That hurts right there. Now, if you got someone who can take that load for you, it's still going to be an uphill battle. But you may be in the game, and I say, look, our star's gone, but our other, is like a superstar also, and maybe get over the hump. The Sixers are relying on the incredible shrinking player. And I've been looking at how James Harden has been playing since he left Houston, and there have been bright spots. But overall, I think the Nets. Might have, even though they didn't go nowhere this year, they might have came out better on that darn trade. They might have actually came out in the plus. I don't get that Harden. I think Harden has reached that point in his career where he's fading away. Fading away, and he got some, and he's still getting paid. Miami, I don't hear anybody giving the Heat any credit. And, I mean, they kind of, well, they won, but it's still sort of like, let's talk about the real teams. And I don't know why. And I kind of think, let's see, the coach is that Spoelstra. I think he has definitely proven that he is a badass coach. He just needs to win a ring, with the Heat, with the crew he got, and he might just do that. But Sixer fans, I want to say that, because, that y'all won't get swept. Even though Joe may not be able to come back for until the third game, maybe fourth, with an orbital fracture and a concussion, you just don't know. But I don't get somehow they'll get a win. They'll get one win, and so they'll avoid the sweep. First Lady, what you saying?
Well, many pundits had the Heat beating the Sixers with Joel Embiid playing. So now that he's not playing, there's a question if the Sixers will be swept by the Heat. Now, you know what? Smith face the Heat also have several players injured. Jimmy Butler didn't play the last game, and Kyle Lowry hasn't played the last two games. But their injuries are definitely not as severe as Embiid. We all know that. Now, I don't think the Heat will sweep the Sixers. James Harden, in his last performance, was definitely more aggressive. You said he was shrinking, but fading away. But he did play well in the last game when they really pounced on the Raptors in the second half. Now, can they win without Embiid in there? I still think they can win a game, and I still think the series can still be competitive, believe it or not. Because you got to look at one thing. Embiid is a big center, but the Heat, they have Bam Adebayo as their center. He's not a tall center. He's more of a in-betweener between a power forward and a center. So, the one thing they do have, they have a serviceable center in DeAndre Jordan that they were able to pick up after, they had to trade Andre Drummond to the Nets in the Harden deal. And they also, remember, they got Paul Millsap. So they have some big people that can play to take up some of the points that Embiid would normally do. They would. Let's just face it. Their offense would not be centered around Embiid, obviously, because he's not going to be there. So I think, to be honest with you, it may open it up a little bit for other people like Tobias Harris to really step up. You got Danny Green. Let's face it. I think the Sixers starting lineup is very good enough to match up with the Heat. The problem for the Sixers is their bench. That's the problem. When they go to the bench, that's where they're going to be outshined by the Heat, because the Heat is a very deep team. When you could bring Tyler, I forgot his name already. I can't remember. The Heat. What's his name? Tyler Hero. You could bring Tyler Hero off the bench, and you could bring Victor Oladipo off the bench. Think about that. That's darn well saying something good for the Heat. The Heat got a very deep bench, and that's where I think they'll wear down the Sixers, because of the fact the Sixers bench is very thin. So that means a lot of their starting players will have to play long minutes, and but I don't think the Heat will sweep the Sixers, to be honest with you. And who's to know? Like you said, Embiid may be returning. He can wear a protective face mask. He won't be the first player to play with a face mask, but I'm not sure if those players, when they play with that face mask, if those fractures were still not healed. See, that's the thing about Embiid. Embiid can play, but his fracture wouldn't be healed, and they don't think he may need surgery on it. And so it's going to be interesting. But I'll just say this, all eyes will be on James Harden, because he will have to have a MVP-level performance for the Sixers to have a chance to make this series competitive. But I think they can win one game, Spitface.
I'm with you, but I will say this one caveat: if the Sixers get steamrolled in Game 1, it may not be too good for them. If they can keep from being steamrolled in Game 1, they got a shot. But if they get blown out the water, the heat is on. First Lady, please take us to break.
Stay tuned. Coming up next, we'll have a performance from Skii on Shout Out Part 1.
Go Heat!
The heat is on. Down.
The music flows in from around the globe to get a shout-out on the panel. First Lady, I can't wait to hear the music from Skii.
On Shout Out, we feature new independent artists who are looking to find their shining star. If we like what we hear, we'll give the track a shout-out. If we don't like it, we hit the mute. Today we are featuring Skii out of Sydney, Australia. They say Australian singer-songwriter Skii, with her sultry, sassy voice, has been likened to a cross between Tina Turner and Ella Fitzgerald. Ooh, I can't wait to hear the music from her. Tina Turner, that's an interesting combination there. All right, DJ, let's hear Dance Devil Dance.
In my head, make me believe I've lost my chance. Only you can make me believe in what you want me to, telling me a story about somehow, someday, it's sure to disappoint her. And then it's over. No, don't wanna hear you say, stay. Torment for you, it's play. Go and don't call my number every time you bring me under. Devil dance in my head. Tell me forget about romance. Only thing is lately I fear it can't be true. That story you've been telling me of somehow, someday, is sure to disappoint me. And then it's over. No, I don't wanna hear you say, the boy will never stay. Torment 1,000 sleeps will cure my head. Oh, don't me. 1,000 sleeps will cure my head. Don't me.
Okay. Well, let me put it this way. I don't see any comparison to Tina Turner, because that ain't Tina Turner singing, because we know Tina Turner sings rock and roll. so I don't know where they get the comparison to Tina Turner. Now, Ella Fitzgerald, oh, you can say, but to me, if I'm going to compare her to a singer, I think she sings more like Nancy Wilson. That's who I think she sounds like. She has that Nancy Wilson sort of appeal to me. And I'm going to give the song a shout-out. I'm going to shout it out. She has a nice voice, nice, the production of the song was nice. It was within her music. I can say it's something that I would listen to every once in a while. I guess I could listen to. I mean, I love Nancy Wilson, some of Nancy Wilson more contemporary songs. So, but that's who I think she sounds more like, Nancy Wilson. All right, Spitface, what do you think, so?
I'm giving a shout out. I think they did a great job of making sure the music matched her to highlight her. I thought they did a real great job on producing that track, and it was a pretty nice song. And again, it highlighted, I think, her voice, where you could appreciate her voice, whether or not that was the kind of, style of music you like. So I'm shout out. Go, girl.
Yes.
Now, who she sound like? I don't. I have to. I kind of get the Nancy Wilson. I don't quite get the Ella and Tina Turner, but I think that might have more to do with the selection than, maybe her overall skills.
Right. Oh, okay. But anyway, sounds good. So, that's the important thing. And we didn't knock the song and knock her, so that's important. Yeah, so that's very, very important. So anyway, on part 2 of Shout Out, we'll have another performance from Skii at Sydney, Australia. All right. Is that the sound of my favorite underwater friend? I'm quite sure Flipper has been to some of the reefs of Australia. So let's hear it. Is it time for Flipper?
They call him Flipper, faster than lightning. No one you see is smarter than he. And we know Flipper lives in a world full of wonder, flying there under the sea.
All right. Flipper's flapping around. He all happy and stuff today. And First Lady, Flipper has a point of pride he wanted to mention. But Flipper be doing stuff during the week. See, he sometimes Flipper does some undercover work. Let me put it like that. Now some of y'all might have have been keeping up with the situation in Ukraine. I call it a war, but genocide is not a war. It's something else, like a crime. And a couple of weeks ago, the Ukrainians sank the Russian flagship. Sank that bad boy. And everybody wondered how they did it. Well, I'm going to tell you. We have disclosed inside information that Flipper was part of that mission. He just wanted to say, glory to Ukraine. All right, it's time for Flip It, where I host the pen, the point, and then flip the script and defend the opposing view. Jackson State University head coach Deion Sanders named Coach of the Year with his FCS Eddie Robinson Award, is rumored to be the eye of Florida State University. In the eye. The big boys. Panel defend. If FSU comes a-calling, Deion needs to move up to the big league programs. I truly respect the work that Deion Sanders has done at Jackson State University, and I think that he has, really worked on the culture of that specific school, but also the culture of the understanding of the historically black colleges and the athletics. And one thing was that people tend to think that for some reason, like Deion Sanders is a joke. Or he's, can be, like, and I say a bit of a put down, but they don't really get how smart this man is, how much a professional he has always been. The only real joke is that, no, he was not going to tackle that running back. Steamrolling down the hill. We know that, okay. But the man has been professional in almost, I can't say what he hasn't. Okay. And now he got some chinks. He's human. But really he's been a professional. He approached what he had to do with that school not as an amateur, but someone who knew what needed to get done. And going to Florida State and being able to turn that program around, I don't know that he could. I don't know. It could end up being a really great thing for that university, a great thing for Deion, because then it starts putting him in that category of the big top college coaches. And having Jackson State as the place that he, let's say, he cut his teeth on, that even speaks more, because now some of those quote big league programs might start looking at some of these coaches in the historically black colleges and saying, hey, maybe we need to get one of them to come to our program so he could expand everything for everybody. First Lady, defend.
Deion Sanders, what's his nickname? He's prime time. So he needs to be at a big school like FSU. Now, I'm not sure why he wasn't considered a candidate for the job when it came open, basically around the same time that he took Jackson State. The current coach, Mike Norvell, right now he has an 8-13 record since he took over in 2020. So if he continues this downward spiral, they will consider Deion for their coach, especially because what he did at Jackson State. I mean, Deion Sanders turned Jackson State into a winning football team. And I don't care what you say, every player who played for their school, they eventually would want to coach their alma mater. I think Deion needs to come back to FSU, and he needs to bring them back to their heydays. I understand Deion, people probably don't want him to leave Jackson State, but Deion needs to be out in the front. He needs to be in a school where he can get national notoriety. Because we talk about Deion Primetime Sanders. This man is spectacular in what he does, and he needs to be at a top number 1 rated school. Now, that's what he needs to be, in a big school. FSU was always on top. They won many championships. I know they used to battle with the University of Miami, and there were some tough battles. You remember Jameis Winston played for FSU when they won their national championship, and I think that was the last time they won a national championship. And after Winston left, the school just went the opposite way. So they do need to have Deion Sanders to come there and bring them back to a winning culture there. And like I said, Deion is prime time, and, hey, FSU needs to come back as one of the best teams in the nation. I'm all for Deion going to his alma mater. Do it, Deion. FSU.
All right. Well, let's flip it, and the panel will defend. If FSU comes a-calling, Deion should stay at Jackson State and build the league so they can compete with the so-called big leagues. And, one of the I remember a documentary about Eddie Robinson. And he said the one thing that he always dreamed was the opportunity to play a big league team, a so-called big league team. He said, look, I got talent, I got players, and we can beat these boys. But, because of the structure, that wasn't going to happen. Right now, Deion he can go to FSU. And I'm sure that they, because I don't get the season going to go any good this year either, will be really going to look. Deion would add that. But why they want Deion is because he is a magnet. And kids will go, hey, we saw what you did at FSU. We saw what you did at Jackson State. Hey, we want to, Florida nice, the weather good, So, hey, we want to come play for you. So that getting, that attraction, that drawing. But here, Deion has a chance to do something that no other coach has done. Bring a league up from one level to where they are playing at the top level, and that's not going to be an overnight thing. But by Deion being at Jackson State, he can say, look, you don't have to go to Penn State, you don't have to go to Ohio State, you don't have to go to Bama, you don't have to go to Georgia. You come right on home because we playing them boys too and winning some games. So he has a huge opportunity to create a legacy, amongst coaches in football. So, hey, Deion, keep enjoying at home cooking down at Jackson State. First Lady, defend.
Well, Deion had an opportunity to be FSU's head coach when they had a vacancy. I'm not sure if FSU interviewed Deion, but I know he was available. So that's why I believe Deion is exactly where he wants to be, at Jackson State. I mean, Deion could make, and let's face it, Deion can make an HBCU school a major force in NCAA Division I football. His cachet has been able to recruit athletes that would have not even considered an HBCU school. So Deion turned the school into a contender with a winning record. Their attendance is averaging 42,000 fans per game. That's unheard of for an HBCU school. Let's just say, you kind of alluded to it, Spitface. Deion needs to be the face of HBCU football in general. Like you said, he needs to uplift this league, uplift the schools there, and that all schools will have an opportunity to recruit top-notch players. It was always said that when you go to HBCU, you're not going to get recruited by the NFL. Even in the basketball, if you go to HBCU school, you're not going to get recruited. But that's not true. Things have changed, and Deion has been one of the catalysts in making change in HBC football. So, it's not time for Deion to leave. He needs to stay there, continuing to do the work to make HBCU football what it is now, and that's going to get bigger and bigger and better. That's all I'm saying, Spitface.
All right, First Lady. Yeah, hey, not one school. You can raise a league. First Lady, on that note, please take us to break.
On the other side of the break, we'll have another performance from Skii on Shout Out Part 2. Please. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading the wrong thing. I'm so sorry. Stay tuned. Up next, the funnies and our favorite underwater friend on Flip It Part 2.
First Lady, always ahead of her time.
You are still listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports. It's time for the funny Spitface. Over to you.
All right. A couple of weeks ago, our production assistants, they had the top 10 things people, not to say the police. But so now they have the top 10 excuses to get out of a traffic ticket. So here are the top 10 excuses used to get out of a speeding ticket and their rates of success. So, you might see which one you want to check out. Let's start with number 10. Late for the doctor appointment. Now, 13% got off. They say, hey, that worked for me. Late for a court appointment was number 9 at 13%. Number 8, I didn't see the sign at 14%.
I'm surprised at that one.
Now, number 7, I was kind of like, I could see it, but I thought it might have been higher. Late to pick up or drop off my child. 15%. Now, number 6, like I said, I could see it being there, but I kind of thought the child would be a little bit higher. Late for an interview. 16%. Now, number 5. Number 5, I have to use the bathroom. With 20%. 20%. Okay. Number 4, late for work. Now, you don't want nobody, missing. Well, you late for work at 21%. Now, the number 3, now this would get me. The number 3.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Everyone else was going the same speed.
That's surprising.
At 22%.
That they would allow that one.
Yep. Now, the number 2, I can, which kind of surprised me, but I get it. I get where it's at, but the number 2, a medical emergency at 25%. But the number one at 26% of the time, I didn't know I was speeding.
I think everybody had used that one. I know I used that one.
I didn't know I was speeding. Oh,
that's a classic there.
Hey, y'all, so don't use that late for the doctor appointment. You want to go, man, I was speeding. Oh, man, I didn't even know I was speeding.
I didn't know. What you don't know won't hurt you, right?
Yeah, I didn't know. Hey man, I'm getting sharp pain. I'm trying to make it to the emergency room. So one of them two, All right, guys dying and water splashing everywhere. It must be time for our favorite underwater friend. It's time for Flip It.
Memphis dispatched the Timberwolves in a tough series, but now they test a team a little bit more formidable. How will they do? Will they prove to be contenders or lucky pretenders? Panel defense. The Grizzlies will prove to be pretenders when it comes to matching up with the buzzsaw that is the Golden State Warriors. Spitface defend.
Steph Curry. The return of the Splash Brother. Draymond. We supposed to talk about the grit. Oh, that's right. The Grizzlies benefited. As they say, it's the matchups. But in the matchups, and they lost 3 playoff games in the fourth quarter where they had double-digit leads of 20 points or more. So, to me, it starts sounding like they kind of like lucky pretenders. Because, you lose 3 games in a playoff where you were up 20-plus points in the fourth quarter. How did you advance? So whoever you was playing, the matchups did something where y'all kind of got over the hump. But I think that the Warriors will expose that the Grizzlies had a great season, a nice little playoff run, but now the big boys in town. And that buzzsaw is going to chew them up. And firstly, I can see them getting swept. That's all I'm saying. Pretend.
Well, actually, Spitface, you kind of got that a little bit backwards. The Grizzlies were not up. It was the Timberwolves that was up in the third and fourth quarter. They're the ones that lost the lead to the Grizzlies. And they, to be honest with you, how would I think the Grizzlies could beat the Warriors when they should have lost the series to the Timberwolves because of the fact that the Timberwolves were winning in every game. I think it went 6 games. It was only 1 game that the Grizzlies won that game outright. The Timberwolves were winning all the way up until the fourth quarter and sometimes to the last 3 minutes of the game, and they would lose the lead to the Grizzlies. So, yeah, the Grizzlies lucked up, but they lucked up because the Timberwolves could not finish. They had a meltdown. Now, as far as the Grizzlies will have problems with, they're going to have problems with the Warriors because they have problems with teams that can run and gun. They can run and gun with them. That's why the Timberwolves were able to keep up with the Grizzlies because they can run and gun too. But we all know the Warriors are the best at running and gunning. So, I mean, the difference to me is the Warriors will not have a meltdown like the Timberwolves. So they're going to be great lucky pretenders, and they definitely should not have been facing the Warriors. It really should have been the Timberwolves. But anyway, it's like I said, they're going to be they're not going to have a meltdown, and the Warriors are going to run over them. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to get swept. They definitely can win at least 1 game. So anyway, but they are pretenders. They were great regular season team, but they struggling in the playoffs. That's a pretender. All right, this is Flip It. So we're going to take the opposing point of view, panel defend. We think we know Golden State, but do we really? The Grizzlies will push the Warriors to the limit all the way to Game 7. Spitface defend.
The Grizzlies managed, and thanks for the correction, the Grizzlies were able to get to this level because the Timberwolves had those meltdowns. as First Lady said, but they didn't have the meltdowns. I put it like this, because the Grizzlies didn't force them to have a meltdown. So the Grizzlies have had a truly competitive series that has gotten them up for what they're going to have to deal with Golden State. Now, the Timberwolves ain't Golden State, but they had to make their adjustments and play to overcome. And that's what they're going to need going up against Golden State. But I wonder about Golden State. And the thing I wonder about Golden State is not so much the play. The players they got the crew. But I'm concerned that in this series that, Steph has had them periods where he was just off, and injuries. And the thing we know about basketball is you do not have to have a, quote, major injury. You can have a sore ankle, and that sore ankle you just ain't going to play as well. And I think that Clay, even though he's looking good, he hasn't had he ain't seasoned. You know, he came in, he's getting there, but he ain't fully seasoned. So I think when push comes to shove, the Grizzlies are going to be able to steal some games and prove that, hey, they may not beat the Warriors, but they'll show that they belong. They'll show that, yeah, we belong. You don't have to watch out for us next year. But the Golden State right now, they're going to get them. But it may end up being 7 games. That's what I'm saying, First Lady.
Okay. Well, the Grizzlies play the same way as the Warriors. It's like looking at themselves in the mirror. The difference is the Grizzlies are much younger than the Warriors, which will play a major factor in this series because they will wear down the Splash Brothers. Steph will have to play defense because you have 2 great guards. You got Ja Morant. I'm not sure who's going to be guarding Ja Morant on the Warriors. It might be Clay. And you got Desmond Bane, though. Desmond Bane has definitely he has proven that he's very good at shooting the three-pointer. So Steph let's just face it this way. Steph is going to have to guard somebody. And we all know Steph, he's not the best defender, so if you get him to play defense, that's going to wear his shot down a little bit. Now, the Timberwolves were also young, so that's why they gave the Grizzlies a tough time because, like I said, they're young too. So they know how to run and gun. However, the Warriors are much older, and they will feel the pressure of the Grizzlies run and gun game. So I just think with the fact that Steph and Clay will be overworked playing a lot of defense in this series, that is going to affect them when it comes to their shooting. And the Grizzlies are contenders, and this series will go 7. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the Grizzlies win this series. It's going to be completely different from the Timberwolves series because I just think they have a shot of winning. Because if Steph and Clay got to play defense, we know what's going to happen with their shot. All right, Spitface, take us to break.
All right. On the other side of the break, we have another performance from Skii. Will she be Ella or Tina Turner? On Shout Out Part 2. Please stay tuned.
You are listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports. It's time for Shout Out Part 2, the picks, and the finale. The music flows from around the globe to get a shout-out from the crew. Spitface, over to you.
All right, we have another performance from Skii. DJ, let's hear Uninvited.
Want the quiet life, the easy road. Can't seem to find it, no way, Joe. Wanna be uninvited. Nobody knows the score. Wanna shoot the breeze, hassle free. Get off my case, baby, can't you see? Wanna be uninvited. Nobody knows the score. Don't wanna go to no parties, meeting people I just don't wanna know. Take a chance and believe me, I'm better off, baby, more than you know. Send me a text, be sure to know respond, I'm on silent mode. Wanna be uninvited. Nobody knows the score. Simple as it seems, I need my space. Too many folks, sorry, need to revoke. Wanna be uninvited. Nobody knows the score. Yeah. Oh. I raise in hell with my buddies. Has no meaning, baby, where I'm concerned. No one to have to rely on. Every blooper I could call my own. Some days I feel I'm missing my peace and quiet. Need to reboot myself away in silence. A little bit of quiet, please. I want that quiet line, that easy road. Can't seem to find it nowhere, Joe. Wanna be uninvited. Nobody knows the score. Yeah. Wanna be uninvited. Nobody knows the score. Wanna be uninvited. Nobody knows the score. Yeah.
Uninvited. I've had to uninvite some folks in my day. and that was before I had texting and all of that, you know. You know how how you put people on that list, you know, called when we send out invitations, skip them. You know? All right. Okay, that was uninvited. I'm gonna give the track a shout out, First Lady. I still didn't see the Tina and or the Ella, but again, you know, we got the selections of hers that we got. But overall, like I said, well produced, highlighted her voice, and you know, like if I heard the song on the radio, I'd listen to it. You know, I wouldn't turn the channel or nothing. You know, so I'm giving it a shout out. What's the verdict?
I'm going to get a shout out too. It's not my type of music. I actually like the first song better than I did the second song. That actually almost sounded like a song from a musical. But but I'm going to shout it out. I'm going to shout it out. She got some skills within her lane.
Yeah. Hey, it could be interesting. Music. Yeah, it could be interesting. All right, First Lady, but that's the end of shout out. If you like what you heard from Skii, and that's Skii, check her out on Old Grumpy Radio Network and SkiHarvey.com. That's SKII Harvey.com. If you'd like to be heard or have any comments, please send your emails and tracks to content@oldgrumpyradio.com. First Lady, over to you.
Who will win the hardwood crown? Not hardware, hardwood crown. All right. Well, you know, we've had the production assistants. They worked really, really hard, and we finally got the scores all caught up. I am not going to go over all the weekly scores because it's just too many right now. So we're just going to get to the grand totals. As of today, Dizzy Mac is leading with 59.5 million points. Spitface, you're in second with 49.5 million points. And I'm bringing up the rear with 20.5 million points. I had some rough time there. But anyway, so let's get to the current picks. And we're talking about game one of each series. and it's going to be $5 million for a win, minus $5 million for the loss. Celtics versus the Bucks. I have the Celtics. Dizzy Mac has the Bucks. Spitface, who do you have?
Oh man, I'm like, where? Let me get a coin and flip it, because I could see either one of these teams. Yo, this is a good matchup. So, I kind of go. It's hard to, I'm going with the home Bucks.
Okay, you can go with
and that's just because they're the home team.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the next one. Grizzlies versus the Warriors. Dizzy Mac has the Grizzlies. Spitface, who do you have?
I'm going with the Warriors at home. I do not think that they will steamroll the Grizzlies, but they'll win the game.
All right. I am also going with the Warriors. Okay. Heat versus the 76ers. Spitface, who do you have?
Heat.
The Heat is on, so I got the Heat too, and Dizzy Mac has the Heat. All right. I wouldn't be surprised, though, the Sixers win that first game. But anyway, the Suns versus the Mavericks. All right. That's a tough game there. I'm going to go, I'm going to try the Mavericks. I'm going to go with the Mavericks.
Going with the upset.
Dizzy Mac has the Mavericks, too. And Spitface, who do you have?
The Sunnies.
The Suns. Okay. Let's go to some over and under. $5 million for the win, minus $5 million for the loss. Celtics and Bucks. Over under 220 points. I'm going with over. Dizzy Mac has over. Spitface, what do you have?
I'm going with the under.
Okay. Grizzly versus Warriors. Over and under 230 points. Dizzy Mac has over. Spitface, what do you have?
I'm going with the under.
I'm going with the over. Heat versus 76ers. What do you have, Spitface?
I'm going with the over.
Okay, over 215 points.
I'm going with the over.
All right, so you're going with the over. I'm going to go with the over also, and Dizzy Mac has the over. Suns versus the Mavericks, 230 points. I'm going with the over. Dizzy Mac has under. What do you have, Spitface?
I'm going with the under.
Really? You think defense is going to be a series? Okay, we got some options. Oh, Dizzy Mac finally got it right. You only can pick one. Oh, wait a minute. There's only one option this time.
That made it
That's
easy.
why you got it right.
Only one option, dude.
Yeah, Dizzy Mac used to give me all the answers to those options. Okay. Steph Curry, under over 20 points. What? That's so easy. I'm going to take over. Okay, let's. I'm going to take the option. I'm taking the option. I'm going to take over, and it's 10. It's $10 million, right? You don't have a choice in the points.
Right.
Right. So I'm taking the over. Dizzy Mac is taking the over on that one. He's taking the option, taking the over. What about you, Spitface?
I'm going to take the option, and I'm going to go with the under.
Really? You're going with under. Okay. You must know something that we don't know. All right. So anyway, we all caught up, and you can see Dizzy Mac is got a, it's not a sizable lead because these points are a lot. So anybody can come back. But right now he's leading, so we'll see how that goes. All right. Spitface, what is your top story to watch this week?
My top story to watch this week will be what will happen to Trevor Bauer's appeal.
Okay. All right. That's your top story of the week. Well, my top story of the week, there's been a lot of stories, but this one, I'm not going to say it's a top story, but to me it's an interesting story that I heard of that just came out, that Sage Steele has a lawsuit against ESPN because they would not allow her, they suspended her. I don't know if you remember, for speaking her freedom of speech. She had said some disparaging things about women, I think, and they suspended her for a week. Well, she has a lawsuit. She is suing ESPN, suing them and still working. Very interesting. They can't fire her now because that's considered retaliation.
Retaliation. Yep.
That's right. So they can't fire her now. So that, I guess they were probably blindsided by that she was going to sue them. But anyway, to me that's a sneaky big story, top story to watch. All right. Join us and our partners, the Veteran Women's Enterprise Center, as we honor our veteran women entrepreneurs. Please visit honorourveteranwomen.com. honorourveteranwomen.com. Check out current and previous episodes at brawspantiesandsports.com and our Facebook page, BP and Sports. This is Cheryl Smith, the First Lady of Sports Talk, and Spitface. You have been listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports. See you in the future.